Hey, Charlie.
Yep. Yeah. I think
We're live, Charles.
we are.
We're live, Charles.
We are.
It's Aloha Friday, everybody. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
How you doing,
Uh,
gang, on this blessed Sunday, the 5th of July? Uh, right now there's just heavy rains coming down on the west side, which is good. Needed rain. Needed rain. So
well, it is baking here in Wailo House Lots. It's baking. There is no wind. It's humid as heck. I get this
mhm,
fan blowing on me, but it's like a convection oven right now.
going around.
I'm medium rare right now. I'm about medium rare, but end of this show, I'm gonna be well done. I feel like we in the oven. I really do. And as you
Oh,
can see in the back, the window, the sun is magnifying the rays right into the back of my neck. But
yeah. You know why? You see this, and when you make jealousies with this kind material, the thing is a magnifying glass.
I tell you, you must be an investigator.
Huh?
You must be an investigator, always with the magnifying glass.
Now, my great grandfather is. I was so proud of him. He was one of the first investigators in France. His name was Crusoe, Inspector Crusoe.
Yeah, I this is how I check all my fingerprints. You know, and I analyze fingerprints. I can check them all out. You see, I can look right
You
in
know,
all
brother,
of you.
this is how I check fingerprints. You grab the suspect and say, give me your damn finger. Let me look at him. Okay, that's the one. Anyway, how you been, my brother?
Oh, right on, man. Right on. Had a good,
Good,
quiet 4th of July, except for a couple of bombs that was going off a few houses up the road.
Hey, you know what's so amazing? You know, they tout our customs border protection, right? Everything is checked before it comes into the state, right? So
Yeah.
if you're talking about one nuclear bomb, oh man, they get high alert. But yet all these kind of small kind of fireworks that can do damage. Somehow the bug sneak under the wire, yeah. So it's crazy how they do it.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I know they had at one time they had intercept one container full, but nothing happened. Nobody got prosecuted. I don't know. But anyway, speaking of prosecuted, tonight we get a couple of brothers coming on from SHOPO, the State of Hawaii Organization of Police Officers. Good friend Tenari Maafala and Malcolm Lutu. We're just gonna be talking about and T is already in the waiting room, man. He's ready to roll.
Yep.
But we're just gonna be talking about the impacts of COVID on our on our police officers, our men and women in blue. You know, the first
Hmm.
responders, all of the craziness going on across the country. It seems like all of a sudden, police officers have become public enemy number one.
Yep.
When you and I both know, Charlie, that 99%, 99.5% of the officers are all good people out there doing the right thing.
Hmm.
And we said it before on this show, what is one thing all good police officers hate, Charlie?
That is a bad cop. It's
That's
a
right.
bad cop.
That's right. So we're going to be talking with Tenari and Malcolm
Malcolm.
in a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoy the show tonight. And again, we're going to be hearing all kinds of stuff. Again, all of our shows are unscripted, unplanned, so we have no idea what's going to come out of their mouths or our mouths, and that's what makes it fun.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and then tomorrow night we'll have the doctors from the Kauai discussion group. They're going to talk about the 2-test 6-day quarantine proposal that they made to the lieutenant governor. It sounds like it didn't get too far. But it's going to be interesting now because of the recent, again, 25 more cases today on Oahu, all on Oahu. We got one a summer fund worker. Now we found out we got another Senate employee from the legislature testing positive.
Right.
You see, the bottom line is this, Charlie. Everybody was concerned about this for a long time, was the community spread. We are now in the community spread before we even get the tourists coming, and the spread is growing. So interesting how the state is going to handle this now. I mean, the vast majority of the public is not comfortable with this one pre-test model, and they're kind of stuck. The state is stuck because they made the commitment to open up August 1st.
Well, you know what?
Go ahead.
Well, what seems to be a difficult pill to swallow, and you've heard me say this before, because we're at a community spread level. If we go all the way back to the initial cases, if we had followed the cases properly, meaning you followed the routes, that's how you curb community spread. But I think what it is because everything lay low, right? They figure, looks like we got it licked, and now it's coming back up. So now, what these guys got to do, these contact tracers got to do, is trace back to see. It's like a lineage, right? You got your papa, your father, then you got your father's father, then your father's father's father. You trace them all the way back. That's how they should be tracing these viruses. You trace it back. Then if it comes in that you've got it to the point where, okay, we can establish it came in from a resident that went to Vegas. Okay, you got that lineup. So off of that tree, that's where everything branches off from there if they make contact with anybody else. A good contact tracing program will start to pick up these cues that come right back to that main line. You know what I'm saying? But what's happening right now, and it's hard for everyone to understand, is it's popping up all over the place now, right? Because, sometimes you hear that, we got another cluster. No, but it's not from that cluster. Then where is it from?
Yeah, well,
So,
from day one, we didn't test what we should have.
Yeah.
I posted the other day the COVID testing project, which is a national tracking group. They track all of the testing and they update their records daily. We were second to we are second to the last as far as percentage of population or percentage of people tested based on a population. In other words, the worst state was Idaho. Idaho tested 5.6% of their population. Hawaii was right above at 5.8. Now, if you look at the other side of the spectrum, Rhode Island had the highest testing rate, and they were at 23.7%, and New York was right behind them at 21%. So if you look at the range, Hawaii, 5.8% of our population tested versus someplace like New York, 21%. And then you wonder why we had such good numbers. You see, if we had tested right, I believe, yes, our numbers would have been higher. Yes, our numbers would have, I think, made people more aware of this virus and all of our leaders and decision makers. But we chose to conserve our tests. And again, not a very good record to have, second to the last in percentage of population tested. And that's kind of frustrating.
Well,
But we'll see what happens now.
For the most part, I think the people are doing the best that they can. There's only a few bunch that want to exercise their rights. They feel that that's a right, and they don't want to use a mask and all that. But because you cannot really tell if they were contributing to the spread, you really cannot tell, right? I mean, it would be nice to know. It would be nice to know if for those individuals that refused to wear a mask, that went out in public, if they got contaminated or not. Because then, you can take, and again, something that we really talked about before is, why not post where the transmission occurred, what area of the island? Just not give one zip code. They ain't gonna do me nothing. I mean, if the person was at Leonard's Bakery, then damn it, tell me they were standing in line at Leonard's Bakery in Kapololo or something like that. But
Well, interesting. We talked about when the city bus guy tested positive. Quick, the city and county released all the information possible, what the bus routes, what the bus line, what the bus numbers, and then when the summer fund worker got tested positive, boom, hey, no hesitation to put out the location of the summer fund program. Actually, the name of the facility. And but for everyone else out there, for us normal people, if it's not involving the city and county or government, we just gotta guess. So
Yeah, I like
anyway,
this.
Dr.
Shout-
Miskovich just
Yeah, let's send a shout out that he was on CNN. He's one
yeah,
of the
he's like
experts.
world. Yeah, but he got his start on Mel and Charlie. Okay, let everybody understand. He got his start on Mel and Charlie show.
Yeah.
CNN was calling me up. How can I get in touch with Dr. Miskovich? So I had to give him the number.
Well, the truth of the matter is, I was told. You told him Miskovich. They called right away, and you said, "What about Charlie?" And they said, "Who?" And they hung up. That's why I'm pissed off.
But Dr. Miskovich says, guys, really good to hear your thoughtful and caring voices. I just returned from the future and it was terrifying. Well, Dr. Miskovich from the beginning laid it out. He laid it out the right way. We got to test, we got to test, we got to test. So
Yeah.
I think we got to bring him back on this coming week. We'll invite Dr. Miskovich. Shoot me a text on a date that we got the Kauai discussion group on tomorrow night, but let me know when you're available. We'll get you back on. Be awesome to get a CNN veteran on our show. Anyway, we got Malcolm, we got T. Let us bring in the law enforcement officer.
Yes.
Oh, look at Malcolm. He looks so serious. Jeez. How come they don't smile? He's connecting to audio. Oh, look at this, Tenari right there, Mr. Maafala. Wait, let's see. Malcolm is connecting to audio. Hang on. He's connecting to audio. Hey, Malcolm. Wake up, Malcolm. It's time. Malcolm, it's time.
I think he's at the SHOPO office, and they get bad connection. Over there is like
he's telling me he's connecting to. Well, while we're getting Malcolm connected to the audio, everybody, that other good-looking guy with the nice white goatee, Tenari Maafala, Executive Director of State of Hawaii Organization of Police Officers. How are you, Mr. Maafala?
Good, my brothers. Good, brother Mel and brother Charlie. Yeah, Malcolm should be connected. Wi-Fi is strong there. We have our own independent Wi-Fi there service. Malcolm is just a little challenged with technology, so he'll get on.
And what's funny is he doesn't know that we can see him right now. Right. He cannot hear us. Yeah. Oh, there. Oh, go. Okay, now he can.
Malcolm, can you hear us, man?
Okay, he's connected. Now he's connected. Now he's connected.
Malcolm,
right.
How's it?
Okay. Yeah, good.
All right, so the technically challenged one is Malcolm Lutu. He's the president of the board of SHOPO. Hey, that's what T said. I never see that, sir. This was Tenari. And then, of course, again, Tenari Maafala, both of you brothers from HPD, leaders in our State of Hawaii Organization of Police Officers. And again, myself and Charlie. Want to welcome you guys on tonight on a Sunday night. I know we got some big things coming up, but really what I wanted to do tonight, guys, is you can share a little bit about yourselves, but wanted to talk about the impacts, what's going on across the country. Hawaii is a little different, just culturally, and we are the melting pot. And then we understand there's some legislative action going through. In fact, a hearing set for tomorrow regarding some disclosure stuff. But we just kind of want informal discussion, have some fun. We got a ton of viewers, and we'll take some questions from the field as they come up. So take it away, guys.
Thank you, Mel and Charlie, for having us on. Been hearing a lot about your show from that we met with last week, and hopefully we can stand up to the past invitees that were. Well, I've been in the police department for about over 31 years now. With Tenari and I was Tenari's vice president for the past 18 years. And together Tenari actually brought SHOPO where it is today. So I'm just trying to finish off his term, and then I can be like him and retire.
Malcolm is definitely a humble man. Malcolm and I go way back. We graduated the same year, and as God would have it, with all due respect to the respective religions that are represented here, I am a God-fearing, God-loving man. But God definitely, Malcolm is truly my brother from another mother. So we graduated the same year, 1980, different schools. Malcolm from Kamehameha, I graduated from McKinley. So we heard about each other through sports. And we finally met at the academy. We came through the same recruit class at Kekula Makai. And Malcolm is 2 days older than I am. We have the same month birthday. He's literally 2 days older than I am. So only God can create that. We sat next to each other throughout the academy, throughout our career as police officers up until I retired. Been involved with SHOPO, and everything that I am today with regards to PD and SHOPO is because of this guy. I owe it all to Malcolm. And through this type of profession, and both as a police officer and as union representative, you definitely need somebody that you can press into and trust in and bounce ideas and opinions and suggestions off of. So Malcolm has truly been that. So I'm humbled by his remark that SHOPO it is where today, because of me, no, it's not. It always takes a team, with all due respect to Malcolm. And again, I would not have done the things that I've done in my career without Malcolm. He's truly my brother from another mother. So yeah, I'm very grateful and honored to continue this journey with him, to now work for him as the president of SHOPO. I'm the executive director for him. So he trusted enough in me to hire me back when I announced my retirement. For other reasons, I didn't want to retire. I still want to stay with him till the very end. It was our plan and our goal to put in 32 years, but certain things happened in my career that, again, is still ongoing as well, that led me to retire prematurely. But I'm good. I'm happy, and still continue to serve, just as Malcolm is.
Well, both Charlie and I were members of SHOPO. I mean, you guys been there forever, it seems like. And I will say, Tenari, you are a big reason why SHOPO is where it's at, as well as Malcolm. And we were all sad to see you retire. I wish it'd take a longer than an hour show just to go over you guys' accomplishments, both of your accomplishments. But just know that the cops, anyway, the men and women in blue and their families and all our citizens, we appreciate what you guys have done and continue to do going forward. It's a tough time to be a cop right now. It's a tough time. I mean, what is going on around this country, the fact that we have departments that are being villainized, we have governors and mayors shutting departments, cutting funding, defunding, all of these things, making it very difficult for officers to do their job. And that's kind of where I wanted to start before we get into the legislative stuff. What's you guys' take on what's happening throughout the country? And I thank God every day. And like you, we're God-fearing people, and we pray every day that he gets us through this. But what's it like now as officers watching all of this nonsense on TV, watching again cops being painted in a horrible way, punishing the good cops, punishing the citizens that they serve because of the doings of one or two bad officers? What's it like?
Exactly what you said. What's happening in the mainland doesn't transfer to us back here, which I don't think a lot of legislatures see. We're lucky we live Hawaii, like the saying goes. It's a different culture here. What we see on the mainland, what started this whole thing in Minneapolis, well, of course, that officer wasn't acting as a police officer at that time. He was acting as an individual. But what set off this whole thing, we don't, it's not what we see here. You know what I mean? It goes to show what happened on Mauna Kea. Way the protests went and a couple of law happening up there. It's exactly how protests and peaceful protests should be done. And that's what we've seen here so far. I think our local community wouldn't go for stuff that's happening up in the mainland. I think they would stand up instead of letting things happen like what's going on in Seattle and Atlanta and Minneapolis and New York. That's kudos to our upbringing. Today, our job has changed. I work with a lot of our young officers, and it's different. It's different when Tenari and I came in. You're more of a social worker now. And we've been de-escalating. We are already doing what the nation is proposing their departments to do. Our officers are trained that way already, coming out of the academy. And like I said, these younger officers, they're different. The mentality is different. They're a lot more patient. I guess they're getting that from the academy. They're a lot more, they communicate better than, I would like to think they communicate better than we did coming out in the 80s. And it's just a different world. And I think our department is on par of what they're trying to propose.
Well, I think
If I
the
could just
respect
add-
level, the level of respect back in the 80s, we all came in the same time. I was, 85. Charlie was around all that same time where, the police officers had a lot more respect. That has changed now, and a lot of it is due to just society changing and social media. But
Right.
Tenari, I know now you sit in charge of SHOPO. You represent officers all across the state. You see the difference, the generational changes between the 80s and now the my
Yeah.
God, 2020.
Yeah, if I could, again, thank you, Mel, and Charlie. You guys were the trendsetters. You guys are the legends that came before us, and we picked up where you folks left off and tried to make it better throughout our careers. And yeah, Malcolm is actually the boss. Malcolm and the State Board of Directors are the decision makers of SHOPO. As executive director, I just run the day-to-day operation for our staff to make sure that our staff meet the needs of our officers, albeit grievances, arbitration, and the like. And then, of course, the day-to-day payroll for the staffing and so forth. So Malcolm and the State Board of Directors are the overall decision makers and the force behind SHOPO. So again, thanking you both. And Mel, to what you said, both you and Malcolm, exactly. Generation has changed. Time has changed, not just for police officers, but the community at large. It's different. Like you're alluding to, back in the day, how we dealt with problems, and learning from you folks, you guys would go to either the parents to take care of the problem, or you guys would take care of the problem. So there was no question. The family said, okay, you're doing me a favor. Let me discipline my child, my adult, whatever the case may be. So again, it has totally changed. So again, not just for police officers, but the community at large. And what's happening, like Malcolm said, what's happening on the mainland, it's not here. It's not here. So again, I thank God that we here in Hawaii, we're truly about the Aloha spirit, our foundation, right? Even our state motto, for the life of the land. The life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness, right? The life of the land, and translated, not just the life, literally the grounds that we go, but the life of the people, the Aloha spirit that's perpetuated in righteousness is God's righteousness and a righteousness for one another. So again, yeah, the mentality has totally changed today. And like I've spoken to the legislatures last session and this session, I keep telling them, why are we always using this term, seeking best practices from the mainland? How about we reverse it and have them come to Hawaii to learn best practices here based on the Aloha spirit, where respect goes far. We can have disagreements, but we don't take it personal to where it crawls over to the area of creating crimes, where you get murders, assaults, and now total disrespect, where law enforcement, law and order is not a thing that we bank on anymore. So why are we becoming the tail and not the head, especially in a time like this? Malcolm alluded to it, the protests on Mauna Kea. My heart breaks for the Hawaiian people. And if anybody in this state of Hawaii that has a right to protest is the Hawaiian people. With all due respect, to the Black Lives Matters movement, all lives matter. And here in Hawaii, all the more the Hawaiian people. So I say that with much love to everyone here. But if anyone has a right to protest here in Hawaii, is the people of Hawaii. So again, that protest that Malcolm mentioned, absolutely, that's indicative of the Aloha spirit from both sides of the fence. You show me a police department where you see officers literally crying because our officers are conflicted. They are keiki oka aina. They're from Hawaii. We live in our neighborhood. This is our families that we got to go up against, again, because of the law that is set, and we understand each other's role. So I think that's where the difference lies within, so much so. And again, right here in Honolulu, over 10,000 of the Black Lives Matter movement came. They had their protests, not one incident. 10,000 people, not one incident, because of the Aloha spirit. Right?
You know,
Aloha, kapu aloha.
I have a question for both of you, Mel and Tenari. We talk about this like one size fits all. So when something goes bad in the mainland, they lump everything. Doesn't matter where. They really don't look at the the stats of that individual area. And then I see how it almost had the appearance of the upper administration. And this is not to put anybody on a spot. And this is maybe more directed to you, Malcolm, since you're still in. It seems like the upper administration got maybe a little rattled and started to move towards what other departments were doing, but maybe not as radicalized, like, you know, completely flip on its back. But you could see some movement being made there. And I always question the fact that, you know, if we didn't do anything wrong and we got a pretty damn good record, we hold the position and everybody come to the table and sit down and say, okay, we understand what you're proposing, but let me tell you what the flip side to that going to be if we're not careful. Have you folks addressed this with the administration in the department?
As far as Honolulu's administration, I think there's going to be reforms. And Chief Ballard, and I guess because of what's happening on the mainland, did stop the use of the VNR, the vascular restraint. Whether they're taking away a technique of ours or a tool, you know, it's always bad when they take something from us, especially our officers that may possibly have to use something like that on the road to protect themselves or to effect an arrest. But, you know, there's always changes. She's open to us. There's a committee, and that's basically what we ask for is, you know, at least hear our voice and give us a seat at the table. Same with the ledge, what's going on. Nobody really asked what the issues are with us with this law. All we ask for, you know, we know it's coming. There's nowhere to stop what's going on. And it's sad because they listen to the vocal minority, and the silent majority is not being heard. But they still support us, still, you know, realize what we do in the communities. But going back to what we were talking about with administration, I think, you know, the administrators are put in a hard spot also, but at least as drastic as it could be. And they kind of, that we're not like the mainland. And I know Chief Ballard has said that also.
Okay, good.
I love what you said, Tenari, about not being the tail but being the head. You know, why we got to follow broken policies from other places. It just absolutely makes no sense. And there's knee-jerk reactions. Thank God we don't have that kind of administrations. I know we're going to lose, like you said, some of those techniques, carotid control. I mean, that saved a lot of police officers, I tell you, over the years. And myself, you know, I'm not a big guy. Like all three of you are big, huge dudes. And, you know,
I'm 145. Let's get it straight, bro. 145.
I'm 135. I'm 135.
Okay, thank you.
You know, when
sorry, one leg, that is.
When I was in patrol, I was 5'9", 165 pounds, and it's tough. You know, Kauai, we had 8 cops. You know, you work out the North Shore District by yourself, your backup is 20 minutes away, and that carotid control came in handy. And you know, you do it right. You train, and you do it right, and you save yourself. To take that away, that only is going to force the officer to go to whatever, the taser or even deadly force, because he'll be in a position or she'll be in a position to defend herself. And makes no sense to me, but you know, it's almost like we got to do something, right? Everybody else is doing something, so we got to do something. It's like, golly, you guys all were cops. You know, you decision makers, maybe not the legislature, but as far as the administrators, they all were on the street at one time. They knew what it was like. So that's got to be frustrating for you guys having to deal with it now.
Well, I know our side, as far as Honolulu, they're working on a new policy. So we have yet to seen what it look like at the end. So we're waiting on that. And I'm sure the other counties are also working on some type of reform. And we always said reform, you know, it's coming. And every now and then we probably do have to update our training and stuff like that. But, you know, we just got to wait and see that we're not as drastic as what's happening in the mainland.
You know, with what happened in the mainland, and I just had this discussion with one of my boys, and you know, he asked me, he goes, "Dad, what you think?" I said, you know, if they're gonna do away with the VR, you know, the vascular restraint, what I would have done, and this is Monday night quarterbacking this thing right now. I would have said that if you have 2 or more officers at the scene, resting with a guy, as long as you get 2 or more guys, it's off limits. But if it's one-on-one, you should allow them. If it's a one-on-one deal, and even if you got it on one-on-one, and when the backup comes, you release, because that's what made this whole thing look bad. 4 guys on one and 1 guy on his neck. It made the whole thing look bad. So I think, that's something I told my son, and my son said, Dad, kind of makes sense. I said, well, that's just Dad's way of thinking. Because, I think if you're struggling with somebody and it's just you and that person, you use whatever methods to bring that guy under control until that threat ceases, right? But if you got 2 or more of you there, there's other ways of taking each part of the body and taking them down. You don't have to put the restraint on that way.
Exactly. Good. Take note of that one. That's good.
Yeah. If I could tag along to what Mel said, and then this applies to both Mel and Charlie. You both got the perspective on this. Mel being a former member of the legislative body there on Kauai, and Charlie, you being a former member of the police commission. What Mel said is so vital, right, for our government leaders. And let me just first thank all our police chiefs. During this whole time, they too are going under such stress with everything that's going on. So like Malcolm said, whatever they come with, and for the most part, all our chiefs are always in great communication with Malcolm and or myself in introducing new policies and regulations. Because again, first and foremost, it is contractual, but again, more importantly for them, they share the same thoughts and pain that we do. So the knee-jerk reaction is so critical, right? Because 2 things that really drives a knee-jerk reaction decision, and I'm sure the both of you can echo the same sentiments. One is public perception. Political pressure is the second. Political pressure based on knee-jerk reaction for lack of facts. And public perception is bought in with all this social media, this false narratives that are being promoted. So I know that both of you have experienced that in your journey as our government leaders, as well as a police commissioner and a council member on Kauai there, Mel. So I think right now, nationwide, it's a knee-jerk reaction to everything. Instead of just sitting down, gather all the facts, conduct a great investigation, and then let's move forward. Come out with sound decision. That's why Malcolm experienced this and attest to this. Every chance that I had to share on behalf of SHOPO or as myself as a police officer, I've always said I am not a fan of the P words. And the P words is just that, public perception and political pressure. I would never cave into that. You give me the facts, you give me the law and the moral equality and the balance, that you cannot just be legal all the way through, because we got to consider the moral impact as well. So it cannot just be one-sided. So Mel, you hit it on the nose. It's a knee-jerk reaction of what happened almost 3,600 miles from Hawaii in Minneapolis. And here we are being penalized for that. We're being, again, stereotyped. That's an insult to our police officers, and not just our police officers, to our police officers' families and Hawaii as a whole. We're not like that. We're not like that. And I'll be the first to admit, Malcolm and the 2 of you I know will be the first to admit, we have bad apples. But you give me a government, whether public or private, you give me an entity that does not have a bad apple or bad apples. You know why? Because we're all humans. We're subjective to, and we're prone to make mistakes. But the mistakes are being revealed and exposed, and proper discipline is being handed out and meted out. We've experienced it all. So yeah, Mel, you're absolutely right. Knee-jerk reaction, what my humble opinion is based on public perception that is not complete and full with facts and political pressure so they can keep their seat.
Yeah, I would much rather have had a chief come out and say, we've reviewed all of our incidents here in Hawaii, and it's very clear to everyone that aside from a few incidents of inappropriate behavior by police officers that were dealt with, the vast majority of officers performed their jobs very well. And I see no reason to implement any reform at this point. Any reform. What reform? Because like I said, because the others are doing what, you're gonna feel out of place when you go to the chief of police convention in some place on the mainland, that you can be proud to say, I had do this to my department. Let's just be real. Let's just be honest. And before we brought you guys on, I asked Charlie, because we've talked about this enough times. All cops, all the good cops don't like bad cops. They don't like that. They don't tolerate and condone that. But they're all being punished right now. And as a result of that, when I watch these things on TV, and I see the young Asian female police officer standing with one guy, overpowering her, just yelling at her, spitting on her face, and she's been directed not to respond. And she has to stand there looking at this guy. Now, she never flinched. And at the end of the day, the guy walked away. But can you imagine? Can you imagine being told by your administration, you are not to engage? You are to be there and be a punching bag for the public because of what we're going through. That, to me, that's horrible.
Yeah.
And that you put every single officer on that line at risk. Every single officer.
Well, you know, another thing that I mentioned to me, I'm gonna let you folks know right now, because when this thing surfaced, I went, gee, remind me of way back when I was on a SHOPO board, like 87, 88. That was back when your manager was Grover Chan, was back in those days, and Z sat right across from me, Dave Brown, and Henry Alou. There was across from me, and we was all the Outer Island guys. And you know, I made this comment before, and I'll make it again. They target you folks, and you know, for whatever reason, this bill does that. They better look at every single department in the state and in the county, because it should go across the board. You like reveal names? Okay, fine. Let's do it. Parks Division, you reveal your name. Okay. Border Water Supply, you reveal if you get anything really care happen in there, because that's what it is.
Yep.
Because everybody says, well, this is the fad that's going on. We want to do it now. And it's just, I really don't, I can see if it served the purpose, because this is what I'm really afraid of it. If they start revealing names before the due process, what if the person through the due process is found innocent? He's already guilty by public perception. And he can be totally innocent, but he now got to bear that cross, and he got to carry that, because people are going to look down his throat and say, you know, and you know, there's incidents that happen when the officer is completely innocent, but because the way the media played the story, you know, they don't talk about the facts that went into how the finding became innocent. They should, you know, if the reporter's gonna report something, report them all the way from the start all the way to the end. Don't stop halfway through, because now that poor officer gotta explain every single time his kids, his wife, when they're at the supermarket. They got to explain every single time. Okay, when the early person comes, they go, hey, what happened? You know, the thing don't look good or this or that. And, you know, that, to me, that's not right. That's not right at all.
So Charlie's alluding to this bill that's floating in the legislature that is one of the things we want to discuss tonight, because I think it's very, very, very important. You see, when these bills come out, these knee-jerk bills come out, it comes out with that press release or the statement from whoever the hell is introducing it about why it's needed, right? And it's crafted or drafted in a way to incite support. But what it doesn't show is all of the inner workings of this bill and what the ramifications, consequences are. So which one of you want to start? Maybe you can give us a brief overview of the bill, starting with the bill number and who's introducing it, so we can write letters, and give us an overview of what's going on and what's going to be at the Capitol tomorrow.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Charlie. It's HB, House Bill 285, CD1, means Committee Draft 1. So it goes to the floor vote tomorrow. The House will vote, the House Senate will vote first at 11:30, followed by the House of Representatives at 12 o'clock. So the gist of this House Bill 285, again, the public doesn't know, but it's a conflict in itself. Part of the bill that talks about 52D as well as 92F, 52D as it's written right now, it says upon the officer's suspension or discipline, the name shall be exposed. But yet in that same bill in 92F says until the grievance process is exhausted, then the name can. That's fair right there. We agree with that. But let me just back up a little bit. Best case scenario for us, our wish is that this bill is killed completely, right? But we understand that our government leaders, in response, again, knee-jerk reaction to the populace out there as far as police reform, this is their way of bringing that forward. So that the gist of that, the bill in itself, one, is unconstitutional, in our humble opinion. We have our legal attorneys that are on the standby. And then secondly, they're violating our due process rights. In other words, why is it only officers that you're guilty till proven innocent versus innocent till proven guilty? Isn't that America? Isn't that the US Constitution? So all of that has been taken away from us. So that's the short of it. I don't want to convolute it too much. Again, we here in Hawaii, we keep it simple. We keep it simple. Yeah.
I want to real quick, because someone posted a comment on the feed about they do it for people that get arrested. It goes on a blotter and blah blah blah. We're not talking about arrests. We're not talking about a cop that gets arrested. Obviously, anyone that gets arrested, that record is public. That is a public record. The media gets a hold of that. They post it. We're not talking about an officer who gets arrested. We're talking about an officer who is disciplined as a result of an internal investigation, which could originate out of some kind of criminal act, but it's discipline within a department coming off of internal investigation. So that's the difference between John Q. Public getting arrested, Officer John Doe getting arrested. Their records are open to the public. We're talking about discipline that occurs in the workplace from an internal investigation.
Right, Mel, and just to add to what I was saying, and then before Malcolm takes over here, the whole gist of this from the legislative perspective is transparency. Hey, there's no cover up. We've never covered up. But let me also say on behalf of SHOPO, and this is why SHOPO gets the bad rap when officers are reinstated. First and foremost, SHOPO does not represent in criminal and or civil cases. We only represent in administrative investigations. So we challenge the internal investigations to make sure that our officers are afforded their duty of fair representation fully and completely and not shortchanged. So SHOPO, we're obligated by federal mandates under the duty of fair representation to represent the officers in administrative investigations. So SHOPO, Hawaii, SHOPO does not represent in criminal and or civil cases for the very reason SHOPO does not condone these criminal and civil rights violations of people. We only represent in administrative investigations. And again, with all due respect, if there's any police administrators watching here tonight, if SHOPO prevails in these cases, it's because we've discovered and we exposed a loophole in the department's investigation, albeit internal affairs or the professional standards office. So that's the gist of the 285 and a little bit about where SHOPO comes from.
Let me give you some numbers, Mel and Charlie. So 2017, just Honolulu alone, we got to probably 700,000 calls for service. Out of the 700 calls for service, this is 2017, 10 complaints for use of force. 3 complaints were sustained. Out of total complaints, 787 total complaints were generated. Out of that, 500 were internal. So that means that was administrative, turning reports in late, not doing your mileage right, maybe forget to call in sick for court, stuff like that. That's what's going to be out there. It's not the big cover-up crime stuff that they think we're covering up. It's going to be administrative stuff, that housekeeping rules and stuff that we're abide to every day at work that we got to follow. You know, there's so many rules that we follow because we're held to a higher standard that, you know, guys going to mess up. There's no doubt about that. Guys going to mess up. And these are 500 out of those cases is basically administrative discipline. That's what they're going to get. And fair? I don't think that's fair. And I think that's why we're doing this for our members.
You know, I think what the viewing public, and this goes out to the viewing public, what you're being exposed to right now is a lot of the concerns, you know, for the viewing public. They understand who SHOPO is. And they understand, all they know is that, well, SHOPO is a union that represents cops. But there's a cutoff point at what stage that representation ceases. And that's, I believe, lieutenant down, they get represented, captain above, they're no longer represented.
No, we're not part of SHOPO.
So you know, the viewers got to understand that. And like what Malcolm said, if you got a majority, a clear-cut majority of disciplinary action taken for stuff like standards of conduct, if you're a motorized officer, you got to have all certain equipment in your car and you don't have it during an inspection, you can get written up for that. And that's the kind of stuff they want to expose. And I said, hey, you know, that's an internal housekeeping thing. I said, you know, those kind of stuff is, And again, this goes to the media side when this stuff gets out. It's how they play the story. Hey, if you're gonna put one officer's name out there, make sure you associate it with, hopefully they don't, but if they do, if it's something that's like a housekeeping infraction, they say it's a housekeeping infraction, but don't leave it up there where the keyboard bandits go start pounding away and say, hey, you saw this guy, he got bad rap, blah. That's what I think just gonna fest up into one big pus after a while. And I think that's
lock your doors. He turned in a late report. Lock your doors. This guy, watch out. He turned in a late report. He never wear black shoes. He had brown shoes on Thursday. Nani Tava Elua says, defund Main Street media for telling half-truths in their stories. That's the way we gotta go.
As we all know, half-truth is a lie, period. Yeah. It's either the whole truth or nothing. Half-truth is a lie, simply.
No. We have a new term. It's called alternative facts.
That's being politically correct, right?
Who's introducing the bill? Who introduced this bill?
The originator that introduced the bill is Scott Nishimoto. Then you have your chairmans on the Senate side. The chairman is Carl Rhodes. And then on the House side, you have Aaron Johansson and Chris Lee. Also on the Senate side, you have Clarence Nishihara. And out of the committees of the joint committee that they had, there was only one senator that stood with us, and that's he spoke loudly and passionately for our police officers. He was the only lone dissenting vote to that bill. So you guys can check Hawaii. You want to know how your legislators are? Go check their voting record. They go tell you they support you. Proof is in the pudding. Go check how they voted on measures that affects you and your family. That's how you can check it. And again, if there's any legislators here, they shouldn't be offended because they're there to serve the people, by the people.
Was that the lone vote? Was that the senator from the Big Island?
Senator Favela is from Honolulu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Senator Favela was the lone opposing vote.
Yes, the lone no vote.
Yeah, he come from a beach side. When you come from an area, again, and I mean this without any disrespect to anybody, but when you come from that kind of community that are one and the same with those officers, that's why we're different from Minnesota. That's why we're different from Vegas and everywhere else, is because we, like you said, Tenari, we grew up together. We know everybody.
Yep.
And it's your friends' kids now are police officers, and the whole culture is different.
Right.
And I find it so hard. I never thought I would see the day, honestly. I never thought I'd ever see the day where the community would completely, and not here, I talk about on the mainland, completely turn against their police force. Completely, just come out in mass and basically swear up and down, take over police stations. I never thought I would ever see that day. You see it in movies, you see it on television series, but never did I think it would ever happen in my lifetime that that place would fall so far apart. And I'm not going to get into the debate of all lives matter. All lives matter. And whatever. You take it up, the civil disobedience, that's cool. You march 10,000 people strong on Oahu, that's cool. Cops there with aloha shirts, walking along with them and doing whatever, that's cool. But when you use that as an excuse to go rob and loot and steal and assault and kill and rape and all of these things, I'm sorry. And our leaders in those states, to kneel to those guys, these guys are thugs and crooks. And it's a family show. But I watch these things. How can anybody that wears that badge and in a leadership capacity allow that to happen, man? That just bothers me. And then, so we got to do something, right? Because we're Hawaii and we cannot defund. We cannot stop funding. But let's do this. Let's go pass legislation so we can at least say that we did something, that we took some kind of action. But this, as you guys have pointed out, is so detrimental. This is from a guy who experienced it. My name was in the paper, let me tell you, before and you know, the story about the reinstatement never made the front page with that same bold font. And I don't share that too much, but I tell you, it destroyed. My wife is a good wife. She stayed with me all the way through, but I don't know how many wives could do that. And that's what the people got to understand, is that you like have fun with somebody's life as a media. Hey, go do it with somewhere else. Don't do it here. Because what you write in that paper today on an officer that has not had their due process can affect their life forever.
Exactly.
And that's the danger of this bill. And that is why we're going to have to post this up later, because it's probably too late to submit testimony. But you guys all out here on Kauai, or wherever you're watching from, you can call or email your representative. I don't care if their name wasn't called tonight. You can call them and email them or text them or whatever, and tell them that you oppose this bill. Tell them you oppose the bill. Because these are the kinds of things that happen with the general public don't even know what's going on. These are the kinds of things that happen in that legislature that people don't know. And it's going to affect a lot of people, and a lot of people that we know and love.
But here's the bad thing, Mel. I think what's an eye-opener for me is understanding the 92F and the 52, whatever number is involved. Because if this bill passes, some repeal is going to have to be made on those other two numbers. So those other two numbers have been in existence for I don't know how long. I mean, that's what should be told. The story should be told, hey, we have a mechanism to treat this right now. It's there. It's been posted. It's been there for years.
Yep.
Now they're introducing one more layer, and that's why people get so frustrated with politics, because they start putting all of these kind of things. It's like one operation, right? You're working on a guy with a heart condition. You take out the artery. You stop there, but you go do another operation later on for replace the artery with not a good artery. You keep on doing that instead of just trying to encompass it all one time. We understand that we cannot cover everything, but you gotta run your check and balance, and that's what this bill seems to be failing right now. It doesn't have that check and balance, because you have the language in there to protect, and actually it protects both sides, and that is when you come to a final conclusion, yeah, the officer's name can be reviewed. When all process is exhausted. But this one is just like they're shooting from the hip. Bingo, as soon as can be Charlie Iona. I can be totally not even involved, but because my name came up on their list, bingo, my name gets splattered. And I think this is, and you know, the sad thing is going to be for the Honolulu Police Department and all police departments. You get some very fragile young rookies. And if this should happen on their first go around, I really don't know how they're going to handle the rest of their career, because it's going to be a black stain. And you folks as senior officers probably going to be telling them, hey, let it go. Let it go.
Right.
It's this way, just let it go. But, some of them cannot let it go. And they're going to have to be watched closely how they handle this. Because even though they passed the test to become one cop, they passed the psych eval, it's funny, 1-2 years after you've been in the force, you really see if some people are old enough to be a police officer or not, because the attitudes change. A lot of it comes with the power they get enamored with when they put a badge on. So I think, these kids got to be looked after. That's the thing I fear right now that may happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Charlie, if I could ask to what you just said, and also to what Malcolm said earlier, as far as numbers concerned, and then the chilling effect of a bill like this if it goes through. So what Malcolm said earlier, Honolulu, for example, currently Honolulu HPD has 300 vacancies. 300 vacancies. It used to be 200, but in a matter of months, less than a year, Honolulu PD is climbed up to 300 vacancies. And of that 300 vacancies, on the flip side, there's 300 officers currently in Honolulu PD that's eligible to retire. So just think about that for a second. The department is short as it is. All departments are. Sorry, I don't have the numbers for Kauai, Maui, and Hawaii County. But trust me, viewers, please, all counties are suffering from this. Now, again, to add to that, tell me who would want to sign up for being a policeman today with all that's happening. Who will?
Yep.
Right? And then to your point, Charlie, my greatest fear now right? And the same with Malcolm and Mel. I know you feel the same, and anyone in law enforcement. One of the things that we're trained from the very get, right? That we didn't take this job because of the pay. We took this job because of the honor and the prestige to literally place our lives on the line for the people of Hawaii and the visitors alike. It wasn't about the money. It was about the honor. Wow, what a great job. I get to protect the people of Hawaii and the visitors alike, right? And then now we're trained to run into fires and things that people don't like. We run into it when people are running from it. So my greatest fear is this. And again, God bless Sister Tiffany's life and Kalike, our brothers and sisters who have gave the ultimate sacrifice for the people of Hawaii. Officers right now will be reluctant to run to these types of gunfights. And the scariest thing is if the officers are caught up in an instant, in the heat of the moment, they might hesitate because of what's behind their mind. My family gonna be dragged through the mud. Then why gonna take this and get investigated? They go through the mud. Either they will get killed or the victim in that case will be killed as well. God forbids.
Malcolm?
Well, that's my greatest fear too, for an officer to hesitate because of what's going on in the world today. If the officer takes a split second just to think about what's happening and doesn't react, who knows what's going to happen. And it's just across the nation, everybody's short. This generation today, nobody wants to do this job anymore. I mean, and it's just making it worse, especially what's happening on the mainland. Prior to this, the last 4 or 5 years nationwide, we've been short all over. This is not helping any. Who wants to do this job? It's a great job. I mean, TNI, it was for us. It was always something we did to help the community. Till today, I'm still there. I'm still enjoying it. And no, I'm trying to stress with the young ones I work with now that, you guys got to band together. You got to have some camaraderie. It's different. The generation is different. And I just hope that these kids that come in, or these new ones that come in, can still do this type of work, but it's changing so fast.
Shout out to Michael JJ Alonso. His dad just posted. He just passed the HPD written test. His dad says he would have rather have him at home at KPD, but he chose to serve HPD. Prayers to the new cadets. Yes, Michael.
Wow. Wow.
They used to let me talk to all the recruit classes, and then they stopped. I think I said the bad word a couple of times and they cut me off. I still get to see the recruits. Hey, it is what it is, man. They got to get used to it,
Yeah.
But I still get to talk to them when I see them. I just spoke to the last recruit class that just graduated out in the. They didn't have a choice because I work at the prosecutors now, so they were all outside rehearsing for the graduation, so they couldn't stop me. But I told them it's still the best profession in the world. It's still the most noble and honorable profession in the world. But it's so difficult now that it's more important now to be focused. And all of you know this, that when you get into that situation, you're gonna do what you gotta do to go home at night. That's human nature. And it bothers me knowing that some of these officers are going to get punished for making that decision to save their life or save someone else's life because they did what they had to do. And that's the frightening part. I have no doubt that as these recruits, they come out of training, they're trained with they got the resources, they got the knowledge, they got the training. They're going to do what needs to be done to protect life and property. It's just sad that at the end of the day, they may be plastered all over the newspapers because they did what they needed to do, what no one else is willing to do. I get so pissed off when people badmouth the cops. I got to tell you, because, when I cannot swear, Charlie, tonight because Tenari is on, but yeah, because it's totally our show is totally uncensored, man. We get some fun. We get some legislators and lieutenant governors that swear on here. We only get one lieutenant governor. Figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But when people just love to criticize Monday morning quarterback, and I understand that, but people don't realize, most people don't know what it's like when you got to make that decision like that. Well, you know what? You cannot take one timeout. You cannot take one 30-second timeout to go talk to the coach and say, what should I do in this situation? You do what you're trained to do. And then to come off of that, already suffering and you know, witnessing or being part of something that was very traumatic, and then have to deal with the media. And the media don't give a damn about that. You know, they just want to print the best story they can that's going to sell the paper. And I have a hard time with that. I just have a hard damn time with that.
You know what the people don't realize too is that police officers really are the best game contestants for Jeopardy, because you got to know so many things in a split second to make that decision. It happens much faster than when you're at Jeopardy waiting for bang, you get the answer, because you're gonna have multiple processes going through your head when you have to answer. But you know, I did want to say, you know, especially for the people out there watching, because we're watching the comments as it's coming in. Like Tenari said, you know, we take the job, and because when I got in, my monthly salary was $762 a month when I first got in. It was that low, and so you know, you really got to think twice. But the thing is, it was just an honor to serve the community you lived in, right? Because that's what you want to do it. And it got to the point, and I always tell this story to some of the rookies when I was on a commission, that back in my time, it was funny, you know, guys like challenge you. It was okay, hold on. And you're on Kupuna right there, and you take off your uniform and you give them your uniform and you give them the keys. You go, here, mama, hold on to this. I'll be right back. And that's how you did things back then. Now you cannot do that. And that's the reason why I think a lot of these rookies have to realize you're going to be held to a higher standard. And the ones that do get in trouble, they forget that. And you know, sometimes when you hear about like losing their job over something so minor, but it's repetitive, that means that something happened where they just never get retrained to get out of that thought process. And that's something bad that, you know, you see it more prevalent in the mainland than you do in Hawaii. And like you said, Keith, it's because of the Hawaiian culture. Whether you are Hawaiian, Samoan, Chinese, Japanese, if you're bred in Hawaii, you're going to come up with a certain culture. And that is, you know, like when we talk about Black Lives Matter, really, us, we look at you like, hey, you can be on holiday, but you know, you just a brother like us. It doesn't play that game. And that's why it was very hard that when we saw the march, you look at all in the media what was being played out, especially for Hawaii. There's more local people upset. They said, gee, you can go out and have a big protest, but we cannot have one gathering at our funeral. We cannot go to our kids' graduation. You know, we cannot do nothing like that. So everything, again, it goes slanted one way, and that's where these anger starts to fester. Yeah. But in the police field, you know, I congratulate the men and women with that Waikiki beat that had all that aloha shirts on. They were at every intersection watching them, just how they operated, because here you get them, maybe a few of them, had officers hidden in the wings, but just a few of them handling thousands, getting into a talking dialogue, keeping everything cool along the route. Because one thing that I would blast the media about that protest was, hey, you talk about social distancing, had enough people there to have one person 6 feet apart that would go all the way to downtown Kalihi. That's how much people you had there that day. But did we see that? No, we never. We didn't clump them all together. So that was my whole gist on that. And I talked to Mel about that. I said, you know, Mel, before you folks came on tonight, I said, Mel, it's going to be a really emotional issue for us, because I cannot see, especially for politicians. I would think, you know, the author of this bill, I would think he would have enough sense to say, hey, let me ride along with you. And I like you tell me, because and be honest, I'm thinking about putting this bill together and just sitting with a couple of you. I would think they would do that, not just shoot from the hip. You know what I mean?
Right.
I know Kauai does that, where the police commissioners get a chance to go ride along and to some training with the PD up there.
Yeah.
I would love to see some of our legislatures go through some scenarios with our training academy and see how they react. I tell you what, I bet you're not gonna pass.
You know,
Well,
they've
David,
never-
David, take him up to the range. Take him up to the range.
Quite,
Yeah.
quite, yeah. Yeah, that's excellent. I think more of our lawmakers and our elected officials should actually experience what it's like to go through the academy, at least certain phases of it.
You know, back in the time in Maui, part of our recruit chain as a recruit, we had to do water rescues. So we had a pool down by the old mill. And, you know, you had guys like Gerald Matsunaga and, you know, you know who I'm talking about, the infamous Gerald Matsunaga. But they brought some of the council people down there because we were the last class to hold the record because they closed the pool after that. Just imagine you get 12 recruits and some council people staying in the water, cannot touch the side and tread water for almost 8 hours. And we hold a record. And only one person can go at a time, go out of the pool to go use the bathroom. Now, they got to see firsthand in case we had to respond down to Keeper or someplace like that for go help and jump in the water. We can do it. But that's what they got to do. They got to have people with the legislation that if you want to see what a cop does, go with them. See firsthand.
Yeah, if I could just add to what Charlie you mentioned, and I just want to again make it very clear, we're not going to use the ideology of stereotyping. We do have great legislatures who support us, and because I didn't get their right to say their names here tonight, it was because of their efforts. Yeah, they voted dissenting against this last year. Yeah, and they're continuing the same. There's only a handful, so I'm not going to paint the entire legislature with a paintbrush, if you will, from Minneapolis all the way to here. So again, without mentioning their names, because I didn't get their okay to mention their name here, they were so kind enough. They honored Malcolm and I that they came to SHOPO and sat down with us and met with us to vow their support for us again and again and to learn more of our concerns. Malcolm mentioned it earlier. That's all we ask for. Have an open door. Call us up. Again, unless you walk in our shoes, you'll never know what it's like to be a police officer. You know, so
Right.
call us to the table. It'll elevate you as a legislator. You'll have all the knowledge of what police officers go through. So I appreciate the legislation they've introduced and passed already for the Law Enforcement Standards Board and the Law Enforcement Critical Incident Shooting type investigative board. Those are all great. Those are all things that at first we didn't support because again, our chiefs, we trust our chiefs of police. I know everybody chose Chief Kilaw's name in there. Again, much respect. And again, we're not here. We're not the same. Don't paint us with the same brushstroke. Again, it is what it is. Those who have committed criminal acts and or violations in civil matters, they've been exposed and they have been prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Nobody is above the law. But currently, we're thankful, and I know Malcolm can echo the same sentiments. Our 4 chiefs that we have today, Chief Ballard here in Honolulu, on Maui, Chief Fa'umu, and then Kauai, Chief Raybach, and then of course the Big Island, Chief Herrera. We do have a good working relationship, and we understand. Between all of us, we understand. We agree to disagree. We'll never take it personal. Before I forget, Mel had mentioned earlier how about you can support us in this matter, being that it's the 9th hour, if you will. Floor votes, there's no vote accepted, no testimony accepted. It's the hearings leading up to the floor vote that you could. So yes, it is late, but tomorrow, through Malcolm's coordination and the State Board of Directors, we have a rally tomorrow at the State Capitol before the hearings. So we're gathering everybody there at 10 o'clock. Malcolm will do a press conference with the media, whoever shows up, to let our side be heard. And till 1 o'clock, just hanging out and letting our voice be heard. So we're encouraging all our police officers who are available and able to come, bring your families. I'm calling out right now. I'm challenging the people of Hawaii, the silent majority. Please come out for your police officers. As we've said here, as police officers, we serve and protect your family, protect ours.
Hey, House Bill, what's the number again? I'm sorry.
285.
285. Yeah, House Bill.
285 CD1, yeah?
Yeah, CD1.
So for those of you that are on Kauai and on the other islands that cannot make it to the rally, get on your computer tonight and just email every single legislator on your island, in your district, as many as you can, and let them know that you oppose HB 285 CD1, that you stand with the police officers. The system isn't broken right now. It's working fine right now. We don't need to to have this bill. And again, these types of knee-jerk reactions got to stop, because good people are going to get damaged, and that's what we're trying to prevent. HB 285 CD1. We can all do our part tonight by emailing. If you're on Oahu, please make it to the Capitol tomorrow. That is, as a former legislator, I can tell you, people, I have changed my vote the night before the vote because of testimony from the public. You don't know if your testimony would be the one that's going to make somebody's change their mind. I remember I forget what the issue was already, but there was a kid that came to the council meeting on a skateboard and he testified. He was, I don't know, 12 or 13 years old. And I'll be honest, that kid's testimony made me change my vote. It made me see it from a different perspective. And that's what we can do. The testimony is powerful. Yes, it's not going to be official testimony, but it's going to be email that they're going to read before they vote.
Yep.
And that's going to be very critical.
Yep.
Yeah, real quick, COVID causing an issue with you guys? You guys got positive officers, and if an officer tests positive, are they sent home on administrative leave? That's one of the questions from our viewers.
Well, I think Honolulu, we had 3. Everybody's recovered and back to work. And yes, they were on administrative leave. If they showed symptoms and they went through the procedure through the department to get tested, they were on administrative leave. Unless they tested negative, then they had to use their own sick leave.
Yep. So yeah, so all the 4 county police chiefs and their administration, we give them all kudos. They have processes in place that take care of officers that have been exposed. And again, great question, Mel. Again, when this all first came to light, and you being former police officers, the Blue Canaries are at the forefront of these challenges. So here we are battling COVID-19, and then we get slapped in the head with something like this that basically tells us that our lives don't matter. So our officers, again, and what's always being missed and left out of this is our families. Behind every badge is a human being. Yes, we're susceptible to making mistakes, and mistakes are being caught and being reprimanded. But at the end of the day, we have families too. We're fathers, we're mothers, we're brothers, we're sisters, grandsons, granddaughters. We're Keiki Aina right here in Hawaii.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys have your Facebook running, but if you don't, just go back to my page later and you can see the comments. A lot of positive comments. I was kind of afraid that was going to have some people write some, but I haven't seen it. If they are, I missed it. Patricia Kramer, you didn't offend me, I promise you.
Yeah.
But I think I can speak for the vast majority of the people in Hawaii that we appreciate our cops. We love our cops. And they do a great job here on Kauai. I mean, we still 10 beats. You still only got 10 beats, and these guys expect the cops to be miracle workers. With all what's going on right now, we pray every night for these guys. Guys and girls that are out there risking their lives. We saw that happen recently with that young officers on Oahu went to go help a guy, and ended up with giving up the ultimate sacrifice. And I think people, that's all of a sudden when something like that happens, people come together. Oh, we love our cops. And then amnesia sets in, and in about a week, it's back to normal. But every single day, every single call, these officers stand the risk of getting hurt or killed. So we respect all of you guys. We love all of you guys. We pray for all of you guys.
Well, appreciate that, Mel.
Charlie.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's give these 2 fine gentlemen any closing comments there before we call it a night. Malcolm?
Malcolm?
Oh, no, nice seeing you guys. Miss you guys. I mean, I know the airlines has been shut down and miss all our brothers and sisters on the outer island, especially you 2 guys. I haven't seen you guys in a while.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for the support and helping us get our word out to the public to let them know what this bill actually means to our officers. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Echo the same sentiments, Brother Charlie and Mel. Thank you both for your years of service to your respective counties and to the people of Hawaii as a whole. To what Mel said as far as our Facebook viewers here, hey, we as police officers know, and even as a resident of Hawaii, just a person, everyone has a right to their opinion, good, bad, or otherwise. But let's get along. There's nothing too egregious that we cannot come together and work things out for the greater good, for everyone. So Hawaii is all about aloha. So let's live aloha. And again, as always, to you two guys, like Malcolm said, miss you guys, man. And the shutdown again had limited, but as always, we know, right? There'll be many a times, as is right now, we'll be apart physically, but we'll never be apart spiritually because of the aloha spirit that lives in us. So to you both and your viewers, aloha, thank you very much. And thank you for your support for all police officers.
Thank you.
Charles.
Well, I first would like to say to our viewers, thank you for joining us tonight with Malcolm and Tenari. And to both of you, thank you so much. And to our viewers, again, I'm going to share this because, I'm proud to be on this platform with them tonight. And let me start off by Malcolm. He's both he and I are alumnus from Kamehameha. He's a couple of years under me, but if he looks familiar, his brother is the U.S. Olympic gold medalist diving champ, Greg Louganis. And I really enjoyed that article. And again, Malcolm is a blessing because many of you may or may not know he's a transplant recipient from a very, very close. I believe was one of the classmates, right, Malcolm?
One of my schoolmates, year after me, Ponoshim. Yes.
Yes. So as you can see, not only a police officer, but a very blessed individual to have got that gift of life again. And for my brother T, family in the football, the name is synonymous with, I believe it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. And when that article came out, some of you may have seen that article when there was a house fire in Honolulu and it involved T. And one of the first things I did was send you that text message, hey brother, you okay? Because it kind of rocked my world. You just don't see that often. And it kind of rocked my world, but I'm glad everything was okay. So thank you so much to the two of you for coming on. I really personally appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you two guys. Yes.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Charlie and I, we started doing this show. It's going on 4 months now. We do this every night, and we bring on all kinds of people, just a ton of different kind of people. And what this show does for a lot of viewers is shows the human side of people, shows that side of our guests that people don't normally get to see. We had Augie T on here. He told his story. We had Augie, we had Frank DeLima on here, and the people got to see that the side that's not making jokes, making people laugh, the side that they're human, they're real people, just like everybody else. And we've seen legislators, we've seen all kinds of people, and you guys did that tonight. I think a lot of our viewers who, as I'm watching all the comments now, all the prayers, people just praying. I hope we were able to convey that, police officers are normal people. They're human beings. They bleed like everybody else, and they just out there trying to do their job to help you. And it's tough, man. It's when professional athletes get more respect than our law enforcement officers. We went the wrong way. When rappers talking about drugs, alcohol, and sex getting more respect than our police officers, we're heading down the wrong path. And I know we love our legislators, but we got legislators that take dangerous drugs and make them a misdemeanor. We take heroin and coke and ice, make them misdemeanors. That's another topic that I'd love to have you guys back on to talk about. We're going the wrong way. That's what I'm trying to say. But you guys have shown the human side, the side that most people don't get to see. And I hope we made people think tonight. And by this week, thousands of people are going to have seen this. And I hope we get the message across. Number one, we don't need the legislature to be making it more tough to hire and retain police officers and harm them. We gotta be working together to embrace them and give them the respect that they deserve. And I'm hoping that this show will do that. So thank you guys. I know it's a Sunday night for both of you. We're off on Sundays. we wasn't gonna pass up this opportunity to have you guys on. So we love you guys, man. We pray for you guys. God
Love you
bless.
guys.
For all of you on the viewers, we'll be back tomorrow night with the Kauai discussion group talking about the 2-test 6-day quarantine program. Hope you guys can join us. So with that, aloha everybody. Again, love you guys.
Love you
Good
guys.
night.
Bye.
God bless.